Greetings, Linda Hollington here with Coldwell Banker Paradise. Thank you for joining us. And tonight we have Laura Baker with us with Coast One Mortgage.
Hello.
And
I'm
the
Sherry
rest-
Darmanine, and I'm a realtor with Coldwell Banker Realty as well.
And I'm Sylvia Ford, realtor with Coldwell Banker Realty as well.
And we're also from the porch. We're missing in action a lot lately.
Yeah.
But we're the porch that originally started here. And we invited Laura tonight because, first of all, she comes to sales meetings and I've learned so much from her. And it's very hard for realtors, let alone anybody else, to keep up with the mortgages these days that they come up with and how fast they change and what's offered now and who's offering what. And it's important because it's important for the people that we work with. So I just appreciate you coming here and talking with us tonight. Because one of the hot topics that's out there right now is how much can the seller contribute? Because they see that happening, that the seller's going to do this and the seller's going to do that, and unfortunately they get the wrong idea sometimes. And yes, they get the really wrong idea about that because it's not exactly the way it sounds. So I'm hoping that you can clarify that for us. I got this, by the way, from your which I made lots of copies of your brochure that you gave us to help clear that up. Can you help us with that tonight?
I'd love to. This is a very hot topic right now. It's probably what I'm getting the most questions on. So, and you start with your pre-approval process to determine what type of loan the buyer would qualify for, because the type of loan will dictate how much the seller can contribute towards your closing costs. So it's really good to get with a lender, determine what type of mortgage you qualify for, what type of program, and then the guidelines dictate how much the seller can contribute. And they can only contribute to your closing costs and what we consider prepaids, which would be like insurance, setting up your escrow accounts. Even some people can use that money to pay down debt, but it can only be used for closing costs and prepaid. You can't use it towards your down payment. And then the type of loan will dictate what is allowable. And it's done in percentages of the purchase price. For example, if you do a conventional loan, which is your typical Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac type loan, which is only 3% down required, they can contribute 3% towards your closing costs if you're putting the minimum amount down. If you're putting more than 25% down, it can go as high as 9% of the closing costs. So FHA, which is a very popular loan for buyers, there's a minimum of 3.5% down for your down payment, but the seller can contribute up to 6% of the purchase price towards closing costs and prepaids. That money can be used for buy downs, which is very popular right now. Insurance, paying off debt to qualify. So there's all sorts of things it can be used for, but it's specific to closing costs and prepaids. So the money that is on your settlement statement. It's important that you get pre-approved and know what type of loan that you're going to use. So when you go to negotiate with these realtors, they know what they can ask the seller for. Do you ladies have any questions on that?
Yeah, the next big question that's out there all the time is, can this money be used to pay the buyer's agent? That's the next big question.
So the buyer's agent can be paid by the seller. It's actually paid directly to the broker who the
Right.
agent works for. It is not included in the seller's contribution maximums. So it would be separate outside of that. So you do not have to take away from your agent, your buyer's agent you're working with, from your closing costs and prepaids. It would be a separate negotiation.
Okay, but it is possible.
It is possible, absolutely. So they're allowed to pay your agent's fees, and they're allowed to pay the closing costs and prepaids.
And what
So
about
that-
VA? Where exactly, I know they've changed their tunes, so to
Mm,
speak.
yeah.
But where exactly are they?
So
on that.
VA is for closing costs and prepaids, they max out at 4%. And they have announced that they are making a temporary decision to allow the seller to pay the buyer's agent's fees. We have not gotten anything down the chain from guidelines yet, which we will be closer to rollout of the new, buyers paying for their own agents versus sellers paying for the agents.
Which is temporarily scheduled for August, I believe.
Correct.
And just run that by me again, Laura. Thank you so much for clarifying a lot of this. That the VA will allow temporarily the seller to pay the buyer's agent's fees?
Correct. They have made that announcement that they've approved it. They have not gone as far as changing their guidelines just yet, but we anticipate that happening before that August 11th date. So that's good news for VA buyers.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely, yeah.
We were
Yeah.
all kind of sweating out what that was gonna look like.
Yeah.
And one other question I just had was, did I hear you say the pay down the rates is possible? And
Absolutely.
insurance, could you run that by me again? What it was that you said about they could help pay the insurance for the buyer?
So closing costs and prepaids, that's the seller's contributions can go towards closing costs and prepaids. What falls in that category are any mortgage fees, title fees, transfer tax, insurance. All buyers have to have a 12-month prepaid policy. At closing, it can go towards that. It can pay down buyer's debt if they needed to pay off, for example, a credit card to qualify for their loan. That would be considered a prepay.
Yeah, that's something that was new to me as far as being able to pay off debt. You know,
Yeah.
that's new.
Yeah.
You know.
I actually have had the seller give their sales concessions and they paid off a car loan and they were in the house.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
It's
very
great.
helpful. You know, that can be,
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that can make a difference between them being able to buy or not.
Right.
there.
Right. And that's why the pre-approval is so important. You really need to know all those questions and answers to how much they may need for concessions.
Now, I know not even the banks have mortgage people in them because I've had issues with elderly people of not being able to do it online and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And so have you run into that? What do you guys do when somebody has real difficulty of working online?
Online?
Most people can, but I run into elderly people that are selling their homes and none of that's going to work for them. You know,
Right.
I can't even I can't text them or
Yeah.
anything. It's either go to the
Yeah.
house or call their landline, one or the other.
Yeah. I am actually working with 2 different individuals like that right now. One I actually met in person and we took the application. And then the other one, I just took the application over the phone. I can do a video similar to this with help of a relative possibly, or we just do it over the phone, whatever works best for them. we do need a little bit longer to close because we do need to mail those documents out to them to sign or meet them in person to sign. So it's not an e-sign like most of the loans are today. So we do need to know that ahead of time, that they might need a few more days rather than the 30-day close, maybe 35, to get them their disclosures and documents so everything's properly disclosed and they understand the process.
Now that's huge. You know, that's a big benefit. I know that a lot of buyers definitely want to do as much as they can via Zoom, via phone, that type of thing. I deal with them every day. They just don't have the time. And a lot of the mortgage lenders find it very easy, I'm sure like yourself, to do it through the Zoom program as opposed to trying to make appointments and things like that.
Yeah, I work whatever makes, their life simplest, that's why we're in this business, to help these people.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I think some people are okay with the actual final signatures and things once they get to know you. But I think to share this kind of very personal and very,
Yeah.
All these financial things and very personal documents, that they need to know who they're talking to. It's a whole different
Yes.
kind of generation. And maybe afterwards, then they can do the electronic signing, because they probably
Yes.
do have an email somewhere. But although some of my people don't have email, they just do not.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and recently it was very similar to that situation, and they did get comfortable, but they needed to set up an email, and they did have a family member help them. But whatever makes them feel comfortable. The process is stressful enough that we need to make it easier for them. So we just the thought of moving and packing, we just want to make our part of it as simple as possible so they don't have to worry about it.
so, Laura, if I sent somebody to you, what would be their process? Let's say they are computer savvy, or that, most of these folks are just working off their phone.
Right.
A lot
right.
of computer at home. They're just
So
phone.
I start with basically a conversation. If they're willing to have one, sometimes they want to do it via email or text. I'd like to have a conversation, if not in person, on the phone, just to get a feel of what it is they want to accomplish, what their goal is in purchasing. Is this going to be their first house? Just to answer any questions up front. Once we go through that, we determine, let's say, for example, they're purchasing a home for the first time. I would, if they're good doing it online, I send them a link. We have a very secure site. They set up a username and password to set up their account. They fill out their information. It's very tech savvy. They can actually attach their payroll to it. They can attach their bank statements to it. And we can attach the IRS to it. So if somebody is comfortable enough that way, they literally have to give us very few documents, just a copy of their driver's license. Everything else we can do online. But there also is a secure site where they can upload documents. So if they have the documents, we prefer them not to email them because that's not secure, that they upload them. If they don't have access to that, we come up with another solution, whether it go to one of our real estate branches, which they can scan everything directly to me. I'm in all of your scanners, my emails, or they can overnight documents. So that's how we start the process. Once they fill out that information, I review it. I determine from our conversation what they want to accomplish. Then I find the most financially beneficial way for them to get their loan and get their house. So I'll go through, and sometimes it may be just one option is a dead ringer. This is qualified for this. It's great. Other times I may have a couple options for them. So I'll explain the different programs, pros and cons, and any obstacles I foresee they might have if they were going to do one of these. And we together decide what program will work best for them.
Well, yeah. And Linda, Sherry, don't you think that's really key? Because I don't know all the loan packages out there. These are the creative people with the, that know the facts and figures, and there are
Right,
so many things.
And you
Yeah,
know,
and-
there are a lot of different mortgage programs out there, correct, Laura? But additionally,
Yeah.
some of the programs will have to fit the buyer. So it depends on
Right.
what the buyer, what their abilities are, what kind of documentation they have, what kind of bracket they're in. There's a lot of variables that go into what type of product that would best suit them, correct?
Exactly, exactly. And the end house. We
Yeah.
may have a buyer that has 20% down. They're
Yeah.
looking for a house. They found the house, the perfect house, but you know what? I don't like the kitchen. So maybe we'll switch it to 10% down so they have the funds to do the kitchen. So
Correct.
it's fluid. We don't make the final determination till they find the proper house.
but this is one of the biggest hurdles that they have.
Yeah.
I mean, to even have the foresight to think, okay, yes, I can really start looking now. I can, those kind of things.
Exactly.
And
This is a big hurdle.
And that's something that we as realtors have to get across to the buyers, that before we even begin, we need to find out what kind of program you're best suited for, what type of, product. But in addition to that, how much can we afford? What is your financial situation? So the only way to do that is to speak to an actual mortgage broker and define what type of financing is available and out there. Because there's variable rate loans, there's your typical conventional, that of course, FHA and VA, but there's a lot of creative financing that can be done out there depending upon your situation. And the best way to uncover that need is to speak directly to a mortgage lender right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, also, for instance, I don't know about you ladies, I give them three names. And I tell them to get, just start talking and see who you're comfortable with, because it's going to get very personal. It's really going to get very personal. You're going to
Yeah. Yeah, it has to.
And they just dig their heels in the ground. I don't know. It's really hard to get them to get that initial conversation going.
Yeah, it is. Sometimes I have to call them instead of wait for them to call
Yeah.
me, and they realize, oh, she's a real person. So I'll
You have
chat,
a lot to
I'll chat
discuss
with her.
to see, because you can be very creative with all the different loan packages you
Oh
got.
yeah, yeah.
And I
And
think shooting themselves in the foot if they don't talk to you.
exactly. Yeah, we have 100% financing programs,
Yeah.
which are fabulous, because
Yep.
it's really hard for someone who's paying a really large rent check each month. I just talked to somebody, they pay $2,800 a month. They
No.
they cannot afford to save money for a down payment. But if we can get them in a house, at least they'll be saving for their future.
Yeah.
Right.
But we need to know those things. For example, single wides, double wides, we can't do, but we could do 5. So there's so much that I go over with them. And it's about their budget as well. There's one thing I can get them approved, but they need to think about what they think they can afford as well. And that's
And Laura,
important.
did you say you do manufactured housing or?
We do single wide and double wide, as long as they are on land that they own, that they're purchasing the land. They were approved by HUD when they were installed, so that's after July 1976.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
We just don't have some of the lower down payments, 5%, 3.5%, for those. But yeah, we absolutely do those.
Yeah. Good.
We
That's
do.
good to know too.
Yeah, we do so much. That's why I enjoy working where I am. Because I have an option pretty much for everybody.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
It's really good to
Fantastic.
hear. Anybody have any other questions?
Well, you do the whole east coast of Florida.
Yes, I'm licensed in the whole state of Florida, Georgia, and Illinois.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That's good.
Well, really appreciate this. You can see how much it really does help. We're so busy trying to find them houses and doing other things that it's been difficult for me to find somebody that I wanted to send somebody to
Yeah,
recently. It wasn't always that way. Before I knew 5 or 6 people, but I don't anymore.
Right.
So this is absolutely terrific. And
Yeah.
Laura, I appreciate all of your classes I've been in, just like tonight, coming and answering our questions and showing us what's out there. And I have you on speed dial. I haven't needed anything yet, but trust me, I will.
Okay, and
okay.
I do my best to always pick up my phone.
I know you do.
Because those questions that people have are so important.
yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
I know we have to answer them.
Right.
We
And it's
appreciate
good to
that.
have a trusted person that we can say, you can feel comfortable talking to this
Right.
person.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it's a
Yeah.
difficult conversation. And some people understand the process and other people don't even understand a budget. So, it's a wide,
yeah,
Oh, I
yeah,
have a lot of kids, they can't qualify, but I send them just so they can get on a nurturing kind of campaign that.
exactly.
Work.
there,
Yeah.
it's a plan. It's a plan. I just recently closed somebody, well, it was February. It took 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, she had a big hill to climb. Her credit score was very low, single mom, and she had some obstacles along the way that fell in front of us personally that wasn't expected. But boy, what a joy when she sent me her picture the next day in front of her new
New
home.
house, yep, I
Yeah.
bet.
That
Yeah.
gives me, that
That's
gives
very
me
rewarding.
chills.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That gives
Exactly.
me
I mean,
chills just
some
to think about it.
have missteps along the way or trials and tribulations, and
Yeah.
but still the dream is there. So it can
Yeah.
take a time, but they need hope and they need somebody they can trust. And
Yeah.
even if it does take 4 years, they can keep coming back to that one person. It's important.
yeah, yeah,
It's shuffled around.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Most don't take that long, but
Well,
but if it does, it does.
Yeah, it does. I thought I had the record on that. I had one that was 3 years and 8 months.
Oh,
oh,
wow.
But finally we found the absolute perfect place for it. So
bravo.
Nice,
it took,
nice.
but
Okay.
it took that long. Well, thank you for joining us. We're
Thank
going
you so
to-
much, Laura. Very informative. We appreciate that.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me. Reach out anytime. I would be happy to join your porch talk anytime.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank you.
Lord,
We'll do this again then.
Lord.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'm sorry, my eyeballs are distracted. I got
What
these
is-
2 kids, they're running all over the place, chasing each other, and they're just they're so entertaining, you know?
Cats
They
are
get
in.
away,
We just
they're like a
stop.
pound each. What?
Do we stop recording or, I mean,
Oh, I'm sure we
Oops.
did. We did? I hope
No, we
so.
didn't.
Oh,
Yeah,
gee.
That's okay.